Closed captioning for the Casey Malone Show is sponsored by Hunter Stevens Land Title Agency. Integrity, service, and commitment you can trust.
Oh yeah, Casey Malone is serving up local. It's time for the stories of our region, the tastes, the sights, the sounds, and the people in and around the valley. Get ready for some local flavor on the Casey Malone Show.
Today, it's a visit to Pastimes Arcade in Girard. Pinball and video games from around the globe. And I prepare one of my favorites, split pea soup. But first, a hike through Nelson Ledges State Park. John Treveline is a manager with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, and he manages parks and watercraft. And you have 3 parks under your jurisdiction.
Yes, I manage West Branch out in Portage County, Lake Milton, and Nelson Kennedy Ledges, which is where we're at today.
And, you know, I always thought that Nelson Ledges was, you know, the Party Quarry Park, or it was the Raceway.
Yeah.
But I never realized that there was a section that's owned by the state of Ohio, and it's been over
it's for several decades.
Years.
It's for several decades. ODNR's had this property, and we're really known for our trails here. This is the rock outcrops and other things. We're not the quarry park, and we're obviously not the racetrack, but we have some of the great hiking spots in Northeast Ohio.
And I am really excited to see all this wonder, because he's like, you've got to come out. Well, I was really surprised when you told me that this was under your direction, because I didn't realize the state was involved out here in Nelson. We know about the Quarry Park, we know about the Raceway, but I had no idea that we had all these, you know, wonderful hiking trails.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're most known for up here. You know, Nelson is one of the hidden gems in Ohio.
Right.
When you talk to people that, you know, peruse the internet and stuff, Nelson Ledges is often one of the top 10 hidden gems in Ohio. And looking forward to kind of bringing you out on the trails today and showing you what it's all about. And
they're really not that involved. I mean, some of them are difficult, but they're not long. What? They're all less than a mile.
So we have about 3 miles in trails total, and there's some difficulty. There's some that are easy. Our white trails, the one that loops around, and there's some terrain changes there. The red trail is fairly difficult. You need to, there's some tight openings that you're going to have to go through, and obviously we want people to stay on trail and have good footwear and other things in order to kind of come into an environment like this. So.
And what are some of the highlights? Like, what are some of the, you know, sites that we are going to see?
So when people pull in, 2 of the big draws here are obviously going to be our waterfalls. We also have some trails and caves and just really unique rock formations. If you're into photography, you're going to be impressed with what you see up here. This is some really unique terrain, really neat vegetation, really neat rock formations. So,
well, I am excited. So we're going to get the 25-cent tour with John. So what does these double squares mean? We're on the yellow trail.
We're on the yellow trail right now, which is one of our mid-range trails. And those things that we're looking at on the rocks are what we call blazes.
Okay.
And those help identify that you're on the trail and you're going in the right direction.
And now we're taking a left.
Yeah, so these ones that are side by side.
So where are we?
And we're headed right into what we call Old Maid's Kitchen, which is one of our points of interest.
Oh, this is cool. So this is a cave.
Think of days and ages before we had things in our region like Geauga Lake and, you know, other things that people did for entertainment. So State Route 282 was one of the ways that people got from to Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
Right.
And this was a great place to stop off. As you might have noticed when we walked in here, there was a little bit of a temperature change.
Oh, it's
Think about hot summer days when you kind of get to experience this, and it's like natural air conditioning before everything was air conditioning.
We don't take advantage of our own history and natural resources.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This place is unique, you know. People have been coming here for a long time, longer than I've been on the planet.
Exactly.
And I remember being a kid coming here, and you know, when I learned that I got to work here and be one of the people to help maintain it and open it up for the next generation of customers.
Well, you're doing a good job promoting it. You got me here.
So as you kind of look here, you can kind of see where the red trail kind of cut down and go through some of those areas. But these are examples of the blazes. And just kind of ask our guests to try to stay on trail and be alert.
So the red goes here and then right down there.
Goes right down there.
Well, maybe, you know, when I return, I will be in tip-top shape for the red. So we have good air quality here.
So it's kind of neat though how all this stuff kind of blends in and all the natural shades. But you can see the different layers of the stone. You can see some of those honeycombing effects that I talked about earlier. You can see some of the cross-bedding, but you can clearly see the sandstone quartz exposed in some areas and where it gets eroded. And eventually some of that erosion happens and these things slump over, and that's why they refer to these as slump blocks. You can actually kind of see that piece that we're looking at right now was part of that one that was above it at one point.
And it dropped.
And erosion, wind, water took this all away, and eventually, through thousands of years, it landed there.
So this is probably one of the easier trails?
Yeah, we're on the White Trail. We're on our way towards Minnehaha Falls. As you can see, it's pretty level. Pretty easy to traverse. Not a lot of elevation changes.
Yeah, this is really very, very nice. And unfortunately, it's been dry, again?
Yeah, the water flow's a little low for right now, but I think you can get an idea of what it's like when we have water pushing over that.
It's still really pretty. Well, I'm gonna tell you, we covered a lot of ground today.
Yes, we did.
And you were a very good tour guide, John.
Well, I appreciate the kind words.
Yes. So, okay, so we did the Minnehaha Falls.
Yes, checked out the two waterfalls. We saw Cascade.
Cascade Falls.
We saw Minnehaha. We went through
the kitchen.
Old Maid's Kitchen.
And we saw all of the, quartz, the reliefs. I mean, there is just really a lot going on here.
Yeah, I kind of hope you got to see why a lot of people refer to this as a hidden gem in Ohio.
Exactly.
There's a lot of great reasons to get outside. It's good for our health.
And then you got the gorge. No, and I mean, you look at that. Oh, look at the people we've passed. It's been young and old. And,
yeah, you got a nice spectrum of people coming up here. The folks that know about this place, many have witnessed it and experienced it, and they want to come back. And there's some good reasons for that.
Well, I guarantee that I will be returning, and
great to hear.
I'll let you know. I'm going to even try the red trail.
I'm looking forward to it.
And if I survive, I will let you know how it goes. But no, it's not that dangerous. But I just can't believe this is 30 minutes from me.
This place is close, it's convenient, and it's got a lot of adventure.
And it's free.
And it's free.
And all seasons it's open. I mean, this is stunning. Stunning. Thank you.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
We are getting close. Scabba Camp is almost here. A year-round destination for adults with disabilities and their families to get away, close to home. Accessible to all, with no barriers. Donate now to Scabba Camp. Help others to enjoy this unique recreational destination for adults with disabilities and their families to enjoy an accessible camping experience. Donate to Scabba Camp. Giving is living.
Hey Todd, what brings you in today?
It's time to propose. All of our friends are getting married. She wants to get married. I love her more than anything in the world, and I can't live without her.
Well, you've come to the right place. We have the biggest selection, the best brands, and the most competitive pricing in the area.
And what about like a used discount?
Get real, get Kamara.
Rulli Brothers has a great choice of quality cheeses. We use our relationship with Old Road Houses to specially select the product and then have it custom cut and packaged by our own local artisans. At Rulli Brothers Market, our family is in the store.
Last year, 115 local people took their own lives, with the majority of those individuals being men.
You can help someone who is feeling suicidal by listening without judging them.
Understand that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help.
If you think that life is better without you, or that you can't go on one more day, please give yourself more time, because life is better with you in it.
If you or somebody you know is struggling, call or text 988 today.
kitchen.
Well, when I was a little girl, I absolutely hated peas. When we were served peas, I would not eat them. I would hide them in napkins. I just did not care for them. And the older I got, I really started to like peas. And one of my favorite soups is pea soup. And I always thought that I needed a ham bone to do a split pea soup, but you don't. You can make it vegetarian with absolutely no meat, which is what I'm doing. I am using a chicken stock, but if you wanted to go total vegetarian, you could use a vegetable stock. And you just have to remember you need a little more seasoning because you don't have the salt from the ham bone and that smoky flavor to make up for it. But I'm gonna tell you, this is really easy. You can throw it together in 1 hour and it is really delicious. So let's get going over the ingredients. We're gonna make split pea soup. For this recipe, you'll need a 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1 cup of chopped onions, 3 cloves chopped garlic, 1 teaspoon dried oregano, 2 teaspoons kosher salt, 1 teaspoon fresh ground black pepper, 2 cups of diced carrots, 1 cup of diced celery, 1 cup of diced yellow potatoes, skin on, 1 pound of dried split peas, rinsed and picked through, 4 cups of chicken or vegetable stock, 4 cups of water, 2 packets of Saison Goya without annatto, and chopped fresh mint for garnish. Over medium heat, I have warmed the olive oil. Now we are going to add, ooh, see, it's nice and warm, the onions and the celery, the carrots, and the garlic, and some of the spices. I'm gonna put in the oregano, and remember, there is no ham bone. So I know it seems like a lot of salt, but I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons right now of the kosher salt, and then a good teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper. And this will start some of the seasonings to get in with the vegetables. And we're just gonna cook this for about 5 minutes or so until the onions are nice and soft. And when they get a little bit translucent, we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Well, they look good. Nice and softened. So I drained the potatoes. I'm gonna add those. Mix those in. There we go. Then the star of the show, the split peas. And it's really weird when you rinse them, they get really hard. So you kind of just put them down and it's like concrete. I mean, I think you could use this to patch on potholes, but it breaks up once the liquid comes. And then that's what I'm gonna add, the chicken or vegetable stock. And last but not least, the water. I mean, this makes a lot of soup. And, but it freezes really well because there's no dairy, there's nothing in this, you know, to give you any trouble. So we're gonna bring this to a boil. And once it comes to a rolling boil, we're gonna put it to simmer and go about 40 minutes to an hour. You want those to be nice and softened up, the split peas. And then it'll be soup time. Alrighty, so everything looks great. Now this is a chunkier soup. So I am just going to get a little taste. And honestly, it's pretty good. It really does have a nice flavor. But I like to use this Saison from Goya. It is different herbs and different spices, and it really adds just a lot better flavoring if you're doing a stew or a soup and you're just missing something. And because I don't have the ham bone in here, this is where it comes in really nicely. I use 2 packets for this size because this is about enough for about 8 people. And they say for every 4 people, use a packet. I mean, a lot of people use this as an enhancer, but it really does make it for a nicer flavoring of the soup. or the stew, whatever you're cooking. All right, so I'll mix that in. And I'd like this to smooth out just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is just use my immersion blender. And I'm only gonna do, you know, about 1/4 of this pot. And I'm gonna smooth it out so it'll be a little bit creamier, even though the chunks will remain. And you just go in and you can see the difference just on that side. And I'll mix it in together. And that's it. See how it's a little creamier on this end? And then when it mixes in with the rest of the soup, it just makes it a little creamier. So I will mix that in, see that? And then I'm just gonna mix this together. And it thickens it up a little bit, but not much, but it just makes it, I think, a little prettier too. And if you don't want it this, you know, thick or this consistency, you can always add a little hot water at a time. So I think this is ready to be served. Let me get this ready and we are going to taste it. The split pea soup. Well, I think that mint really brings out a great flavor in peas. And I chopped up some fresh mint as a little garnish here. And then I'll add, just for a little crunch, a couple croutons. And we are going to taste this and see how it is. I mean, it really looks good. Wow. It is delicious. I love split pea soup. It really is one of my favorites. And with a nice, light, effervescent wine, this is Octave from Portugal. It's a Vinho Verde. And it really is light and bubbly and super reasonably priced. So go to my website, CaseyMaloneShow.com. Look for the split pea soup recipe because you are really going to love this all year round. It's really good. Cheers. Locally sourced is good, whether it's ingredients or a bank, and that's why my bank is Farmers National Bank. Since 1887, Farmers has remained rock solid through every economic condition. Having a bank with a history of safety, soundness, and conservative management is a must. It all boils down to this. You need a bank that will help you reach your goals. I do too, and Farmers is mine. Farmers National Bank, rock solid.
I'm Elizabeth Bernard. For more than 30 years, I've provided our Valley with sound legal advice. My associate Jennifer Rigetti and I will be your legal representatives if you're involved in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident. Don't try to handle it yourself. We'll navigate the red tape of dealing with doctors, medical insurance, and all the obstacles that you'll face. Remember, there are no upfront fees on personal injury cases, and hiring a lawyer does not mean you have to go to court.
Call attorney Elizabeth Bernard, local legal experience for more than 30 years.
Locally owned, Hurricane Health and Wellness will help you weather the storm of your weight loss struggles. Safe and discreet, our experienced telemed team will prescribe the proper weight loss medication. Powerful weight loss solutions. Hurricane Health and Wellness.
Angels for Animals gigantic garage sale is April 19th through the 21st at the fairgrounds. Incredible buys, great food, and raffles. For more information or to donate items and volunteer, scan the QR code or visit angelsforanimals.org.
Well, the Casey Malone Show has been waiting quite a while to join Mr. Rob Burke at his Pastime Arcades. And I've got to tell you, this is more stupendous than I imagined. This has to be the largest.
Welcome to paradise.
Welcome to paradise. Now, how many pinballs are we talking?
Well, between pinballs and videos, we have about 600 games here.
But first, a little backstory. About 20 years ago, I was at a party at Rob and Bridget's home. and the basement was loaded. What, about 60 to 80 pinball machines, all in working order. And I'm thinking, this guy is nuts. Look at all these machines. And when Bridget reminded me, I said, of course it's Rob Rock. What started the passion? Like, what was your first machine? When did this begin?
When I was a young guy, 5 years old, we had a pinball machine in our basement. My dad bought it, I guess, for me for entertainment.
Right.
Little did I know what it was or how to even play it. And then I went to college, that further fueled it, and I saw pinball machines everywhere. And then I started having a passion to the point that I really enjoyed them, to the point where I actually did a pinball show in Chicago, honoring my heroes who were the pinball designers and the artists. And that took place back in 1985. And the show was such a success that people said, hey, when's the next show? I said, there is no next show. I want to do it one time. And this year will be show number 39. We've been doing it 39 years. Yeah.
I saw that you won a Guinness record for the most continuous pinball shows.
Yeah.
So now this entire aisle are all from Spain
and Italy.
I didn't know there was such a market for that.
So there was a time when the games from the U.S. were not permitted to be exported to that part of the world, and because of some sort of laws they had. So they started their own industry of pinball for several years, and these are all games made in Spain and in Italy for their unique markets, and they were not meant for export to the U.S. Some did export to the U.S., but the majorities ended up in Europe. So you're seeing games that you wouldn't see anywhere else. This is a very unique selection.
How do you power?
Well, I have a father-in-law that is an electrical engineer, and we call him Paps. And because of Paps, he made this work. But we have rows and rows of electrical conduit going down here to feed the electricity to keep all these games running. And this is a lot of games.
It is a lot of games. And as I was driving here this morning, I was thinking, how the heck does he have that many outlets and that much power? Because that's a heck of a fuse box.
And we've had no circuit breakers have gone off yet. So
the first thing I learned that I needed to do was be able to read a schematic. So what's pretty crazy about these is that every game you can still get a schematic. So it's just a piece of paper.
And this is in every machine?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I feel like it's treasure hunts.
Yeah. So it's essentially.
God, and you know how to read this?
Yeah, it's essentially a flow chart of electricity. This is called analog. So it's either on, off, yes or no. It's similar to some basic coding where you have to find in the code where things break down and where it's stopping.
And then where you allow it to move on or where it blocks it.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
See, I learned something in that robotics class when we were at the Sharon schools.
But without these, it's extremely difficult because these can help you pinpoint, down to a very switch that you can locate in the game. There's definitely a learning curve, but rather easily once you're able to understand the basic logic of this.
Exactly. And then do you have a couple of these machines and that's how you...
Yeah, I have about...
How many do you have?
I think I'm up to 18. No, not quite with Rob. I think I have about 18 at this point, yeah.
And are they all this style?
Yeah, all of them are electromechanical that I have, with the exception I have a digital skee ball machine, and then I have an arcade game, a video game. But as far as my pinballs go and some other games, electromechanical.
It's very precious.
Yeah.
Do you ever get machines that don't have the schematics?
A lot, quite a bit.
And then, is there an archive where you could find them?
Sure, yeah. There's actually a place up in New York called Pinball Resource that you can buy the schematics and paperwork for a lot of the games. So this company here is called Gottlieb, and actually the paperwork is still under license. So you have to get it from a gentleman up in New York who has the rights to the paperwork. But the other big companies of the era, Williams and Bally and Chicago Coin, you can actually download those right offline.
So your father shares your passion.
That's how I accidentally got into the hobby.
Okay, all right.
I bought this game. I knew he loved growing up in the arcades when he was a kid.
Okay.
And one morning we went out to breakfast and I asked him what his favorite game was. He said North Star, and I knew nothing about pinball at all, nothing. Well, I got online and started looking it up because about 3 weeks later was his birthday. And I always thought, wouldn't it be really cool to get Dad a pinball machine?
Really?
And there was a gentleman in Clary named Knox who he had this online, and I sent him a message and said, it's my dad's favorite game, would you be willing to sell it? And so I bought it. And I remember when
you're getting all choked up thinking about it because your dad had to. I mean,
it was such an incredible feeling.
Oh, you're giving me. That is beautiful.
So he, I got it working fully and took it down its basement. And I repainted the cabinet, and he came downstairs. My brother was in on the plan, so my brother took him out to dinner, and then he said we're gonna go play pool. And he came down the stairs and he said, "Where in the world did you find that?"
Oh my gosh.
And so I said, "How long has it been since you've seen this game?" And he said, "It's been 50 years." And he said, "Does it play?" Like, he didn't even care. It's in his basement.
So Nick wears many hats. You do the marketing, you do some of the repair work, but these machines are not part of this because these are for sale.
These ones are for sale. Yeah, we actually have these games on the floor. But if you actually want, we get a lot of people that come in and they ask if the games are for sale. Right. Yeah. We've had a lot of people that just come in and expect this to be a showroom for sale. No, the showroom's
I mean, you've got some big games here.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at this one. You've got the 20-year reunion to Ms. Pac-Man.
Yep.
This is cool. And I love that you have the Wurlitzer.
It is a Wurlitzer. It's an updated. It's a CD version.
Right.
You know, we do have a couple 45 versions in the back. So that's the beautiful thing. We're 5 minutes off of Highway 80, and there are places like this all over the country. You know, in Las Vegas and in Nashville and
I can't imagine
Portland.
they're this large though.
But and that's the thing. Those are all in destination cities already. You're going to go to the Grand Ole Opry when you're in Nashville. You're going to go to the Strip when you're in Vegas. But this is the destination here.
But listen, guys, when you come here, you pay one price and you play all day.
I mean, you're not going to throw them out. It's not like 1 hour and you're done.
So you can put 12 hours here. You know, if you have to sleep under the pinball machine, take a little break.
But no, this is really, I really can't thank you enough. This is...
I thank you.
This is really a great addition.
And I hope your audience enjoys it because you can't put it into words. There's just so much stuff here.
To believe it. You really do.
The Casey Malone Show is sponsored in part by Denise and John York and the DeBartolo Corporation.